are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and a YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one where we only know what we know. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us right there. What's up, Krabs? What's up, Eric? What's up, Cookie? How's everybody doing on this fine Sunday evening? A half hour later, throwing me off, throwing everyone off. I tell you, just messing everybody up. Mess me up mostly.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you stay up too late, anyways.
That
You have no time. You have no sense of time. Just everything's
I do
always
not.
yeah.
I do not have any sense of time. That is true. There's always 2 p.m. for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thought to have. I always find that when I go somewhere, like on a vacation or something, or when I used to go on like to my like with my family to a family cottage or whatever, my mother always used to say, "Oh, I don't never look at my watch or I don't bring my watch." And then you spent the whole time saying, "What the hell time is it? Is it dinner time? Is it lunchtime?" It's like my mother always tried to disconnect from time when she felt like she wasn't at work, but then when she didn't know what time it was, she just wished she had her watch on. Back when there were
Yeah.
watches.
I was gonna say now we have our phones, so we kind of
Cell
always know
phones.
what time it is.
Exactly. Yeah, what do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Like just constantly checking your phone and 5 minutes has passed. Oh, 10
It's
minutes has
probably a
passed.
bad thing.
Yeah.
It's probably bad, but I think when you're on vacation, you're doing other stuff. You probably don't look at your phone as much as you would a watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wear a watch daily, but I can tell you it's not even set to the correct time.
Oh no.
I just like the way it looks.
Oh my
Fun
god.
fact. I have a collection of watches. None of them are set.
Mm-hmm.
I just like them.
Mm-hmm.
It's an
Just
aesthetic
looking
thing.
good. Looking good, yeah.
Yeah, if I look at my watch, it's probably like midnight or something on July 10th.
Or I always see those memes on Instagram or whatever. It's like, oh, you just looked at your phone? What time is it? Like the idea when you look at your phone, you don't know what time it is, and then you put it in your pocket, and you're like, oh, what the hell time is it? You take your phone back out again, you have to look again.
And then
It's
you
like the
open it
things that you,
again.
yeah, exactly.
You scroll on something really quickly, like, oh, wow, I
Yep.
guess it's out here. I hate when I check my phone around other people. Yeah, when I'm out with friends and stuff, I try not to check my phone as much.
It like in a like for rudeness or
Yeah, I
like you
feel
try
like,
not to be rude.
trying not to be rude, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Because, generally, if you're talking or in a conversation, maybe I should be scrolling Twitter or
Sure.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So I try not to.
I would agree with that.
But some
Trying to
people, they just kind of, you're on your phone together, which I understand also.
sure.
I'm not in my home, I'm somewhere else on my phone, so it's different,
Oh God, yeah.
which I understand.
Uh-huh.
You do you,
That is understandable for sure.
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Chris, what'd you get up to this week? Did you go to a comic book shop on Saturday? Did you enjoy any new comic book day stuff? Because I did not.
I did not either. I went to the
Dang.
comic book store, but I was
Hmm.
busy for most of Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got there, it was like 4:30,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing left was that kid Spider-Man book
Mm-hmm.
and some other book that looked like it was for children.
Hmm.
Not like Twig, of course. Actual
Of
children.
course.
I think it was written for actual children. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there's a kid who's going to come in here and grab this.
That's right.
So,
How dare you take away a kid's comic book?
right, especially when I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't. I did not get to partake in New Comic Day or Free Comic Day, and I didn't really feel
Mm-hmm.
like going to another store because I was pressed for time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my experience with Free Comic Day. But to be fair, I think you and I looked at the list. There wasn't anything I needed.
Yes.
I kind of just wanted that Tynan book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last year there was a Lemire book that I definitely wanted to get, but this year I would agree with you. There wasn't one where I said I have to get this one. Like there's the DC Absolute Power book
Yeah,
that was out, and it's kind of like a precursor to their big um, event that's coming up. But they'll fill us in with the actual number one for absolute power. That's not the free comic book day one. So
Yeah, and I haven't
yeah.
heard anybody even talk about it.
Mm.
I would imagine though it's on the DC app because I think the free comic book day books end up on the apps anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm with Grabs on this too. I'm just dropping stuff. Um, I repositioned the mic because of, I'm trying to be louder without yelling.
Chris is so soft spoken, you guys. You can't hear a thing that he says.
That's what I've been hearing, apparently, or not hearing, I suppose. Anyway,
Yeah, it's okay.
um, Graham said, I haven't read a free comic that I picked up in 4 years, so I just skipped it this year. I do the same thing. I have a stack of these free comic book day books, and I don't
Hmm.
even look at them.
Hmm.
I don't even like. I think I had the one. I think they did one for Night Terrors last year.
Yes. Let's see
Have
what
it,
they had
never
last
read it. You know when I actually read it was when it hit the app.
year. You're loving that app.
I do like the apps. I just got the Marvel one actually.
Mm-hmm.
Eric bought Spider-Man Life Story at my local comic book store on Saturday. That's a good idea too. Go support your local comic book stores. I also wanted to buy
Absolutely.
something in store, but as usual, they were out of it. So digital is the way to go for me.
Yep.
I don't bag and board the grass. I don't bag and board them. They might as well hand me one on the Vegas Strip. Um, they handed a lot of stuff on the Vegas Strip actually.
Yeah, you
Stuff
don't
you
want to
don't
know.
want. Yeah, stuff you don't want. But anyway,
Yeah, the Lemire one was actually 2 years ago that I got,
was
which
that
was
Fish
the
Flies?
Bone Orchard Mythos one. No, that was last year's one.
I also have that. I
Which
never
I
read it.
that's the one that I got. Last year there wasn't really too much either that I can see. I don't see the Night Terrors one, so I wonder what that was.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I don't know what the hell that was, but I thought there was something like that.
I could have sworn there was. But
Yeah.
also the Red Bull's kicking in, so I might be out.
Yeah, I
We'll
can't
see.
see it on there. Anyways, yeah, I didn't get to my shop either. But yeah, like I said, there wasn't the greatest of comics that interested me, but that's okay too. So, what'd you get up to this week then, Chris? Did you read anything? Did you watch anything?
I read something. I only
Mm-hmm.
read one book, which is weird because there was a list of stuff I wanted to read this week. Like legitimately, I had a lot of things like, oh, I want to read that, that, and that. I read one
Mm-hmm.
book.
Yeah.
It was the new
Better
Space
than none.
Ghost
Mm-hmm.
from David. I can never pronounce his name, but I like him a lot.
Pepos.
That guy. He's really nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I read that. I've been really excited for the Space Ghost book. I don't know a lot about Space Ghost. I remember
Yeah.
as a kid there was the series, but it was um, it was like a talk show, Space Ghost
Mm-hmm.
Coast to Coast, and I forgot what other animated series had the Space Ghost shorts in it. Do you remember?
No.
There were these shorts, and they were serious. But even still, I didn't remember much about it other than he's Space Ghost,
Mm-hmm.
and so the book was a new thing for me, but there was still some familiar stuff to it, like Brock is in it, which I thought was fun.
Mm.
Some other stuff. And he's kind of like Space Batman, which is an
Exactly right.
automatic
That's
win for me.
that. That was my thought after I finished reading it as well.
Yeah, it's Space Batman, and Space Batman works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Space Batman. I don't know, past Batman, current Batman. I like it. Just don't give me Ron B. Batman. Zing.
Yeah.
Ian says, Free Comic Book Day was on a Saturday here. That's when the comics drop. I was too busy celebrating the 4th. Yeah, a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm sure we'll get to that too. Oh, yeah, Star Wars weekend for Phil also. The Batman 66 episode of Space Ghost Coast to Coast is a classic. I didn't know there was one.
Mm.
Well, homework has been
Yeah,
achieved.
I know nothing about this Space Ghost fella. Like you said, I saw something about this talk show that he'd been
Mhm.
on, but I'd
Aaron
never
Brock.
watched a single
Or
thing
Brian.
of it. I've seen pictures of it or whatever. So I have no idea who this person was or what they are and what the comic is, what they came from, anything. I read this because of the writer David Pepos, and like you said, it's basically like Space Batman.
Mhm.
He's mysterious in that way. He kind of talks in short, simple sentences and seems
Less
angry
trouble.
when he says it. um, but I thought the book was
Transparent.
actually fairly easy to get into, having not don't know the character at all. It's great for new fans, I think, or I know it's good for new fans. I don't know what it's like for fans who know Space Ghost.
Does
Be
anybody
interesting to
really
find
know
that out.
Space Ghost though?
Yeah, it's what I mean. I don't know. It's like it seems like such a an odd character to for many people because he was basically like a meme or a joke as
Yes.
far as I could understand from the talk show thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't remember what the shorts were part of because they weren't full episodes or anything. They were like I want to say like 5 minutes long at the most,
Hmm.
and you would see him basically doing Space Batman stuff.
Yep.
And in that, like Brock was a villain, whereas on Coast to Coast, Brock was kind of like Space Ghost was the Conan, Brock was the Andy.
Hmm.
I think that's how it was. It's been a while since I watched it.
Weird.
Yeah, it was funny at the time, but I don't even know who it was made for really, because I don't think
Mm.
children or when I was that age understood. Oh, this is like Conan O'Brien
Hmm.
or David Letterman, what have you.
Yeah, I the one thing I found interesting about the book was like the lack of Space Ghost. Like he
Yes,
wasn't in it that much. Like there was a lot of the villains, and then the like,
children,
yeah, um, like whatever. I think the people have like lion heads or something, um,
planets.
or cats. They have cat heads or
That's
something in
Brack.
there. Yeah, I have no idea. Like,
Oh,
I have no sense of direction for any of these people. So I
he's a
thought that was kind of
species.
interesting that like the lack of actual Space Ghost. Like he obviously makes his big entrance
Mhm.
towards the end, but he's he's hardly in the issue, which I thought was interesting.
He's my new hero. Ian says I wanted the free Mad comic with the Superman cover. Didn't know there was one, or if I did, I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's mentioning that 66 episode has Adam West, Lee Meriwether, and Eartha Kitt in it. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Scout's Honor was okay by Pepos. I think the
Mm-hmm.
badges the comic came with were a great idea. That sounds cool.
Yeah, Scout's Honor is a good one.
And Ian says, and gutted I miss Johnny Quest. Do you like Johnny Quest?
I don't know Johnny Quest. No Johnny Quest for me.
You don't know Johnny.
No Johnny.
So Johnny Quest is like kind of like a correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, like Indiana Jones, but like a child version. Like if you were to combine Tintin and Indiana Jones, I think that's what
Yes.
Johnny Quest is.
Give me Tintin. Oh, Johnny Quest. Yeah, I don't know Johnny Quest. Never watched any Johnny Quests.
Says I had a bunch of VHS tapes as a kid. It's like
Hmm.
Tintin. Yeah, he's like Tintin. If you
Yeah,
remember.
from the pictures that I'm seeing, he's definitely like Tintin.
Yeah, like
Like,
it's one of those concepts for whatever reason they can't get transferred to a modern time period.
mm-hmm.
Even though I think Johnny Quest is one of those things that would probably work really well now
Hmm.
because it would make more sense. Hey, this kid can globetrot and do
Right.
stuff. He has a cell phone and he has a watch that's probably not set, so it makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, but anyway, Space Ghost was cool. I liked it. Looking
Hmm.
forward to more. Would you read more
Yeah,
of
for
it,
sure.
or are you going to?
Yeah, I will read more of it. I didn't actually see or read up on it if it was ongoing or limited. Let's see
With
here.
Papoose, it's kind of hard to tell. I feel
Yeah.
like most of his stuff are like just minis.
Just quickly browsing through the description doesn't really say. So hopefully, I think this one's going to sell, and there was a crap ton of covers for it as well.
Some really nice ones.
Um, yeah, some really nice ones. So yeah, I hope it does well, and he keeps going with it for as long as he can.
I'm in. Space Batman,
Hmm.
sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure when we get more of him, he'll have more of a personality of his own.
Yeah,
Not
I
saying that
would
he doesn't
suspect
in
in
this
the
book,
second
but
issue we'll see more of him doing things.
yeah, this is just meant to be a cool introduction. I think it works.
Hmm.
What'd you read other than Space Ghost?
The only other new thing I read was Get Fury for Marvel Comics. So their
Mm-hmm.
Max Comics line, which is the very R-rated
Is
comic
that what
line that
Max
they have.
means?
Yeah, Max is Max Comics. I think that was the original Punisher story that Garth Ennis did. back in the day was under the Max
So
line
that's
as
like
well.
their DC Black Label, I guess.
I guess that's how you'd brand it. Yeah,
Okay.
because like it's specifically very R rated, anything more than anything that I've seen in any Marvel comic ever that I've read. Um, yeah, so it's an interesting book. It's set in 1970s, and Frank Castle goes to rescue Nick Fury, who's been captured by the Viet Cong. Um, it's not a lot of fun, I would say. It's pretty serious. I sent you a panel from it, of a guy getting his head chopped in half by
Which I
a
appreciate.
machete. Yeah, you're welcome. So it's pretty heavy, but in media, and specifically with war movies, I obviously like World War II movies, but I'm a big fan of Vietnam war movies as well. So I was digging the idea of this comic, but then also the cool idea of Frank Castle, the Punisher, written by Garth Ennis again, which I've never read the Punisher run that he
It's
did,
from
but I
Garth
really
Ennis.
want to. What's that?
It's from Garth Ennis.
Yes.
You might have said I didn't hear that detail. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the idea of Frank Castle going to then rescue Nick Fury, who's been caught behind enemy lines, kind of this espionage type of war story that had me interested. So yeah, I like a lot about the book, but it's just trying to find some joy in it is a little hard because obviously the Vietnam War is not a gaggle of fun.
Well, that
So we'll
depends
see
who
how
you
it goes
ask,
going
Lieutenant
forward.
Dan.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, that was kind of a cool thing. I'm always looking to read more Marvel, but then reading this Marvel feels like I'm not reading Marvel at all. Just with some Marvel, just with some
Well,
Marvel characters in it, which is interesting.
though, Marvel, I think people automatically imagine, oh, it's fluffy and bright.
Yeah.
That's really not the case with Marvel. They have a lot of darker stuff.
Hmm.
It's just not the forefront. Because even you look at some of the bigger characters, Iron Man, for example, the
Hmm.
biggest stories with Iron Man deal with him being an absolute terrible human, like
Hmm.
devil in the bottle.
Hmm.
That's about him dealing with alcoholism,
Right.
extremists. These stories that are there's really only two popular Iron Man stories, I think, but
Hmm.
they don't really, they're not good stuff. Or, he's not a good person. I think
Hmm.
Cap has some bright stuff mostly, even though Winter
Hmm.
Soldier is fairly dark. And it's, if you haven't read the book and you've only seen the movie, they are very different beasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's completely different. The only thing
Hmm.
they really kept is that Bucky exists. That's about it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the book, so
Hmm.
it's kind of weird for me, but I do love the movie. I won't complain on the movie.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, Marvel has darker stuff. Even you look at the Moon Knight stuff, like you've read the Lemire, that is something.
Right.
There,
Right.
there's a lot going on in that Lemire Moon Knight. Even the new Moon Knight, Vengeance, there's a lot.
Hmm.
Um, Wolverine stuff, all the Logan stuff is dark, etc.
Hmm.
You know, I just think people have that thought in their mind. Oh, this is going to be fluff, and then they look at DC and oh, Batman's standing on a gargoyle, probably just drank someone's blood or whatever.
Yeah. 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 It definitely helps to read the books to better understand what the books are as they come out. Like I said, I barely know Marvel, and the more I read, the either more I'm surprised, or the more I'm just educated on what the Marvel is. Specifically when I'm reading, Avengers Twilight, stuff like that is
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of stuff I want from Marvel, and I don't know because I don't read it if it's like that or not, just because I haven't read it. And the more that I read, obviously, the more I enjoy.
I can't hit the table, but one of us, the GIF I like from Wolf of Wall Street. Eric says Marvel Comics is more than the MCU. Yeah, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people just see MCU. Okay, this is Marvel. It is, but it's also not. Because like
Sure.
Doctor Strange, I think is pretty wild.
Hmm.
The movie is. I mean, the two movies.
Yeah.
Grab says, I think when you think of amazing Marvel runs, they're mostly all a decade old at least. That's another thing. Most of Marvel's like written glory days are
Hmm.
like in the 90s, the 80s, and even before that.
Hmm.
I think that they don't care about the publishing as much, or they didn't when the MCU was riding high. And now I think they may be going back to it, realizing, hey, maybe we forgot some fans,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe we should try to make new fans. I don't know. I don't know. I don't work at Marvel yet, so
Not yet,
yeah, they
but
haven't hired me to write Blade versus Wolverine versus Moon Knight. So
wait a second. That sounds
ooh,
like a great idea.
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, so pretty light on the comics this week for me. But what'd you watch, Chris?
so I did watch some things. I watched more of 6 Feet Under. I'm almost done with it.
Oh boy, just push through.
I am.
Keep going.
We got that. I have to bring up the list because I can't remember now. As
Hmm.
usual, bear with me. Um, so let's get the quick one out of the way. Have you seen Empire Records before?
No, that's the one with Liv Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have not seen it.
Okay, so it's a movie I watch every so often. It's a really easy watch. It's only an hour and a
Mm.
half. It's got some fun stuff in it, but I hadn't seen it start to finish in the longest time. And rewatching it, I think it was last night or the night before. It's still fun, but I've realized it's a 90-minute music video, and it is really just the 90s in 90 minutes, if that makes sense.
90 to
Like
90.
it's like it's like a little time capsule, and I appreciate movies like this. It's
Mm-hmm.
nonsensical, just like those type of movies are.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely unbelievable what happens in it. Like
Oh.
nothing would actually happen that happens in this movie.
Hmm.
It's just one of those things, but it's fun. I enjoy it. It's got not Matthew Lillard, Ethan Embry. I always confuse Matthew Lillard and Ethan Embry. Sometimes I think they're the same human, and they just trick us, like Scooby Doo style with a mask.
I can
Um,
see that.
yeah, so it's got Ethan Embry and Liv Tyler. Uh, is it Debbie Mazar? Is that her name? I forget. But anyway, that was fun. I rewatched that.
Debbie
Uh,
Mazar is correct.
yes, the yeah, so that was cool. I
Hmm.
watched Challengers, which has been, I think, all over social media for
It's
months.
been everywhere for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know about you. Like, I knew I was gonna watch it. I thought the trailer looked interesting, but I wasn't really in a hurry to it until I saw the reviews and so many of our friends kind of praising it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not like the level of Dune, of course, but praising it quite a bit. So I checked that out. Challengers is fantastic.
Hmm.
Lives up to the hype. Also, I think I'm going to play tennis now.
Is it a tennis movie or like so?
The
I
trailer does
know.
not sell it.
Yeah, so I know barely anything about this movie, but it seems to me that it's more about sexual tensions between three people rather than tennis. But
Um,
tennis is just they all play tennis, so it's
well, the way the film is structured is actually pretty cool.
hmm,
The present, so it plays with timelines a lot. The present timeline, it's a tennis match that goes on throughout the entire film,
mm-hmm,
and then they keep doing flashbacks to different points over like a 20-year period. So yeah, it is about the tension between them, just
mm-hmm,
relationship tension in general, and how they interact and things like that. But then it is about tennis also in a way, not to the point where I think like a tennis fan would be satisfied.
okay.
A fan of movies will be satisfied, but a tennis fan, maybe not. But the way they play tennis looks pretty cool because it's very cinematic. So it's
Mm-hmm,
like hard hitting tennis.
mm-hmm.
Like the ball's going really fast and they're hitting it and it looks cool. It's not like the tennis you see on like I don't know, ESPN the Ocho. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Oh, the Ocho,
Yeah,
nice.
the Ocho. It's not like that. So they just make tennis look cool, and it is a really good movie. The performances are great. Zendaya, whichever
Yeah,
can't pronounce
how's
that.
Z Dog? Is she good?
She's fantastic, but she always impresses me. Ever since I started watching Euphoria, I was like, oh, she can act.
Right.
Yeah, just judging by MCU stuff, it's like, okay, she's just another cog in the machine. No offense, but she's another cog in the machine. But then you watch
Mm-hmm.
like The Greatest Showman, Euphoria, this. She's a talented young lady.
Nice.
Also, again, the trailer sells you on one idea what the movie is. That's not what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I thought, based on the trailer, she's managing both of them and they're competing against each other.
Mm.
Maybe I read the trailer wrong, or I don't know. But that's not what the movie is.
Yeah, I just had a sense that there was about these two guys who were oodling over her, and she's just playing off both of them.
Not exactly.
Mm.
Grab says, I'm guessing like Field of Dreams isn't really a baseball movie. Kinda, yeah, kinda.
I think Field of Dreams is a baseball movie.
It is, but like I think you can watch it without knowing a lot about baseball. Like I know nothing about baseball.
We got to know who the White Sox were back then. Shoeless Joe Jackson, you know.
I did not. I know who the White Sox are. I've heard the name, but I don't actually. I didn't know that was a person. I know who
Okay,
Babe Ruth
fair enough.
is. You know, Baby
Hey,
Ruth. You've seen Sandlot?
the chocolate bar, Babe Ruth.
Yeah. Some guy named Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth, I love it.
Grab says it's a father-son movie. Yeah. Field of Dreams is magic though, which
I would
again I
agree
didn't
with that.
watch till Grabs told me about it, but it's really good.
Of course.
Yeah, it's really good. Eric says Darth Vader, the one constant in the universe is baseball. I can't do a James Earl Jones impression. Maybe you could.
I no, thank you.
No? Okay. All right. We're out on that one. So
Yeah,
Challengers
just
was
pass.
great. And then the final thing I watched this week, which I think stole my heart, is called Mandy with Nicolas Cage.
Jesus.
Yeah, everybody saw this coming. It's Nicolas Cage movie. He goes nuts in it. I get it. But to my own credit, and maybe his too, this movie is really special because it's not like your typical horror film. It's really surreal in the way that it's shot and the way that it looks. Like nothing feels real when you're watching it. And I really appreciated that. Even the way the movie like opens, it opens showing you these like forests and stuff, and it looks dreamy. And where Nicolas Cage and his wife live, it doesn't seem like a house anybody would actually live in. It seems like a fairy tale kind of thing. Like their bedroom is entirely glass in the middle of this ugly forest. It's really interesting. But anyway, and then it gets incredibly violent. Like I was surprised how violent it gets, and you could see like there's influences from like Hellraiser. Um, I just went blank. There's a lot of different influences from other horror movies. The violence is nuts, and you get some great Nick Cage stuff. Like he just starts screaming in the middle of a fight. That was my favorite T-shirt, and I was like, "That was your favorite T-shirt," and they ruined it.
I like that now you have a new meme that you can use and know what
I
the
finally
context of
understand
it
them.
is.
Yeah, I finally
Yes.
get him in the car with the blood on his face. I get it now.
Yes. That's
Much
what
like,
I'm happy about
am I
now.
getting through to you, Alba? I get it. Cookie says, Mandy, yes. Cookie's also a big fan of it. It's such a pretty movie, and if you don't like the story, that's the thing. As vicious and ugly as it is, it's very pretty to look at. And because
Nice.
it has that surreal feeling to it, you don't even know if what's happening is happening in some periods. And they leave
Strange.
a lot ambiguous. Like this isn't a spoiler. There's a biker gang who they kind of explain, but then when you see them in action, like that can't be the actual explanation. There's something else here. It's also a very strange movie, which again fits the bill for me. So. All right, saying Chris saying a Nick Cage movie is special, shocking. You know, there are movies of his I don't like. I'm just saying. I don't like every movie he's in. Ian says, speaking of Nick, check out Arcadian. Was an amazing but cool monsters and a fun watch. Yeah, I'm going to get to it. It's just not playing at AMC by me, and I refuse to go to any other theater because I pay for the other thing. So, Grab says, I just tune out Chris's review of Cage's movies because I already know he's going to say. It's more than him just going crazy. You don't even know what you're watching is the biggest endorsement for a movie. It is. You know, one day we're going to do a show. I'm just going to start randomly mentioning movies of his I don't like.
Yeah,
Like
that should
it
be.
could happen to you. I don't really like it. Could happen to you.
You need a top 5 of Nick Cage movies you don't like, just to throw people off.
Yeah, we'll go through his recent filmography. That'll probably help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and lots from the last 10 years.
Yeah, but Mandy is actually a film that put him back in the spotlight. People saw that, and that's kind of why he's having this resurgence. It's part of it.
Oh, you think that's the one?
This is the one.
Mm.
I'm not sure
Hmm.
how. I think it came out like 2017 or 2018, and this is one of the movies that kind of put him back.
Hmm.
So it's not just me, guys. And Cookie agrees with me.
Yeah.
Hell
Just
demon.
a little second. She's your second here, so it's all good.
I think we are sidekicks or something.
Yeah, Nick Cage sidekicks.
Yes, we run the fan club. You guys can apply,
That's
but we
right.
run it. So that's what I watched. What do you watch?
Nice. No movies for me this week other than just watching more John Wick. I watched more of Young Sheldon, which is very good.
Oh yeah, I
Still
caught up on that too.
3 episodes to go. But I and X-Men 97, which I finally got caught up on. I was 3 episodes behind, and then the latest episode came out, and everybody was talking about it, including you, the Nico and Zeddy, and our kind of our DMs, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. So I had to know what the hell you guys were talking
One
about.
of us. One of
Yeah.
us.
It's not that I was putting it off for a reason. It just felt like it was okay to
There are
after the
priorities, and there are X-Men 97, sir.
that's it. I didn't feel like I had to watch it. After the I don't know. I don't know if it's a spoiler now or not. I guess it is, so I won't say it. But after the big revelation of 3 episodes ago, the thing that happened, I've kind of felt okay. Just letting X-Men 97 breathe for a while with how heavy the episode was, and knowing that the episode that came right after it was more of a palate cleanser, if you were. But then the two after that kind of kick back into gear again with some serious stuff, and so I finally got watched that, and it's very, very good. No complaints with X-Men 97, that's for sure. But what I watched this week and a little bit of last week, I think is when I started, was Three Body Problem on Netflix, from the creators of the creators of the Game of Thrones on HBO.
I didn't know that.
Benioff and Weiss. It's their first show after ending Game of Thrones. So I binge watched that 10 episodes. It's a thing we're going to be talking about this. We're going to get into it later in the show about what you would get rid of, comics, TV shows, or movies. And this is a TV show that I finished. Ian, thank you. Yes, I got to the boat scene. This is the TV show that is like, you'd think if they tried to make a movie out of this, it just would not work. It's just one of those things where I laminate how great TV is, because episodic, and it also hurts me that was on Netflix, so it's a binge type of show. I also love binge type of shows, but I wonder about this one, like week to week, cliffhanger after the end of every single episode, questions at the end of every single episode. Like, there is so many confusing things in the show. The season ends like there's 600 more episodes to go. Like, there's multiple seasons more to go, and nothing's been announced yet. I looked that up after I finished. It's based off a book, so I guess there's a whole series of books.
Or Body Problem.
Yeah, 6 or 7. So yeah, just watching the show. I watched a couple episodes a night, or just one. And it just left me scratching my head all the time. It kept me interested, kept me, invested in the show, kind of episode after episode. But I'm also saying that, like, the idea, I don't know what you think about this, Chris. I think we've talked about this a little bit when we talk about movies and movie sequels. But the idea of making a show where there's a beginning and an end in a series or a season, and the show could end after season 1, and that would be the end of the show. But this one, like, there's so much going on. There could be another episode right afterwards. What are your thoughts on the book ending a season of TV, knowing that a second season hasn't been planned, hasn't been filmed? I don't know if it's been written. What are your thoughts on that kind of thing?
Always leaving one more.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I think that's probably the way to do it, because hypothetically you may or may not get that second season or third season or
Right.
whatever. But if you jeopardize what you have going just to close it off, it doesn't always work. Because you look at something like Game of Thrones, which probably could have kept going,
Hmm.
but they decided to cap it where they did, and we got what we got. If that makes
Hmm.
sense. So
Sure.
I'd rather they tell the story they want to tell within the time frame they have, and then if
Hmm.
they get more of it, cool. If not, we'll always remember Paris. You know what I mean?
Sure. Fair enough. Yeah, I get that for sure. It's funny because we just got off of watching Shogun, and
Mhm.
that's a show that could have had more seasons, but it was very much bookended. But at the end of that, there's still lots more to go with these characters. Like there's still characters that are live; they still have a future in some way. So it's interesting to see that in Three Body Problem, like there's characters that just have so much to do, and like the last episode introduced something so bizarre and earth shattering for one character that kind of didn't do much throughout the whole season. But then in the very last episode of the season, they are given a task or something to do that just launches their story in completely in a direction.
Is it like take
Um,
the ring to Mordor, or what?
yeah, exactly. Something like it's like one of the hobbits who just kind of walking along, not doing anything, and all of a sudden he gets handed the one ring and says, "Here you go." You know,
Do what you gotta do. You
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. So very interesting. But I thought it was a very good show. It looks very good at times. Um, it's got aliens. It's got science. It's got physics. It's got video game esque stuff in it. It's got some that Ian mentioned at the boat scene. Some incredible violence
I do
in
like
it, and
incredible violence.
yeah, and it's got some really good acting in it as well. So I do recommend. It's only 10 episodes, 45, 50 minutes an episode. So very
I'll
cool.
put it on my list.
Yeah, sure you will. Get the hell out of here.
It's all. I have the actual list. The things go on there. Things go on there. It says Three Body Prom is an amazing book. The show is very good, but I didn't love it. I'm going to start the next book because I hear a lot of happens. That's why I
Mm.
want to ask you: are you going to read the book now, or try to read the books?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I actually haven't looked into this, but I don't know how many books there are. If it's 3, 4, then yeah, probably. But if there's 6, 7 books, probably not.
Gotcha. And he says the show ends when the book ends, which makes sense.
Yes.
Not everything wants to split a single book in two seasons. I mean, why? Hey, Teddy. Uh,
Yep.
Ian says, I feel like this with Apple TV Silo. I need to know what happens next or everything is happening, but I can't see it going until the end of the book story. I think Silo's getting a second season though.
Hmm.
The only thing Three Body Problems missing is Nick Cage. You know what? Maybe it is.
Hmm.
That might make it better.
Who could he play in that show?
Everybody. Have you seen like that Robert Downey Jr. show on Max where he's like three different characters or something?
Oh yeah, the sympathizer. Yeah,
They could do that with Nick Cage. I'd watch it.
yeah. There's a character Nick Cage could play. He could play the guy who plays Davos in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I like him.
Uh,
He was also in
he's in.
Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, he's in Three Body Problem. He could be in that Nick Cage role. He could do it.
Nice. He said, anyone watch Sugar? Latest episode in with the craziest twist I've seen in a while. I've been hearing about Sugar and this particular episode so
Yeah.
much that I want to watch it, but I honestly do not have the time this week. I
Hmm.
would if I wasn't planning to watch other things, but still.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it for sure. Ian mentioned it as well about this episode, but aside from
Yeah.
that, just the trailer was something that I really wanted to watch. So
Yeah, this is something I want to get to. I also want to get to Silo because I didn't watch that. And I really would like to watch it.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Silo, I think, and it didn't hold my attention enough.
I've heard it's kind of mixed, but it looks like something I might enjoy. Plus, I want to watch something on Apple. I pay for it, so it's like I should use it. You know what I
Trying to
mean?
hold on to your Ted Lasso subscription here.
Well, yeah, that too. I don't think it's available on media, any kind of physical media. I don't think.
Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I think it's
I don't think
only
so.
through Apple TV.
Yeah.
So, hey, Phil 2.
Hey, Phil too.
They are officially Phil 1 and Phil 2. That's just the way it's
Yeah,
going.
it's fine with me. I don't care if they care or not. But
Phil 1, Phil 2.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's yeah.
Okay.
It's not what.
It's not
Oh,
available.
on physical media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all Reason watches?
Yeah, that's all. I spent my time watching that and just finishing up watching the ending of the Maple Leafs hockey season this week. So that was all done. So now that one half of sports are gone, I can continue to watch more movies because like the past 2 weeks I haven't had any movies to talk about because I've been watching so many TV shows, which isn't a bad thing. It's too bad because I started off the year being like, hey, I got my letterbox and I'm going to put all my things in there. I'm like, oh man, now I'm watching TV shows and there's nowhere to put those. There needs to be a TV show letterbox. You can?
Mm-hmm.
Son of a
I'm
bitch.
pretty sure you could. Anthony does it, or I think he does it.
I'm going to have to look that up right now.
Yeah, I think.
Well, that just pisses me off.
Sorry.
No, well, Shogun.
Oh, Ian's middle name is Phil. We got Phil 3 now? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, you can do that too. I guess I'll have to do that.
Multiverse of Phils. Phil's in the multiverse of madness. I think it's time. I wish we had like a fun sound for this, but we don't. So we're just going to put this up. You got questions? We got answers?
Oh, I was hoping for a different kind of sound, like a ding or a
I don't like a bullhorn.
boing, or what do you got?
I don't know. I'm looking to see what we got. We might have something.
That's a technical foul.
That works.
That doesn't work.
Well, it's that or the laugh track. You pick it.
Neither.
Right.
Neither works in this case. Okay, so we have some questions. Chris had an idea of sending out some questions to some peeps and help us out answering some things because I don't know. We did this once and we didn't do it this way. But this is the way we're doing it. So we put out a tweet on obviously Twitter and asked some questions. So I'm just going to go through it, Chris, one at a time. Sounds good?
Sounds stupendous.
All right. So the first one is from Cookie Monster on Twitter. She says, kiss, marry, kill. Lestat, Louis, or Daniel?
You go first on this one. I think I know your answer.
All right. So I'm marrying Daniel. I'm kissing Louis, and I'm killing Lestat.
That's what I figured.
I love Daniel. He's my kind of guy. I just specifically in the TV show, Daniel is one of like very, very close, if not my favorite character in the entirety of the first season. So that's why.
Yeah, the TV show version is fun. He's a little different. He's fun. So I kind of knew my answer as soon as I saw the question.
Mm-hmm.
I am killing Louis because he's a miserable bastard.
You love him though. I figured you'd marry him.
No, he is miserable. But he's fun. Oh. I enjoy him. I'm just saying he's miserable. So if I had to kill him, I would. If I had to. In this scenario, I have to. So I'm sorry, Louis. Go find Paul in the afterlife. We're done. I guess I'll give Daniel a peck on the cheek, and I'm marrying Lestat because he just looks fun.
I think we'll have great adventures. Total mayhem in your house is what it's going to be.
Yes, and I am welcoming it. It's a good time.
All right, fair enough. All right, we got a two. What's that?
We need to get Cookie's answer on that. Maybe we'll ask next week.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring that up. And oh my God, next week! Holy shit, next week.
Well, the show is in 1 week, so.
Yeah, it's on next. Yeah, well, yeah. Okay.
Everybody's a monster.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. Oh my God.
Marry for that money. There you go. That's right.
That's good. Okay, so we got a two-part question here. Nico Caruso on Twitter asked each of us a question. Mm-hmm. So for Chris, he said, if you were directing the next X-Men for the MCU, who would your lineup be?
Like the team would be Cyclops, Jean, Storm, Rogue, Morph because I like him. And we'll put Beast. Did I already say Beast?
Nope.
Okay, we're putting Beast on there. I don't really want to put Wolverine.
Why not?
If I were directing the movie, we're about to get too into the woods here. If I were directing the movie, I want to introduce the X-Men as the X-Men and not as Wolverine and the X-Men. So he could be off in Canada on a journey looking for the best cigar in Canada.
Sounds fine to me.
I would watch that. I'd read it, watch it, just make it. So yeah, my team would be Jean, Scott, Rogue, Beast, Storm, of course. I'd throw Morph on the team because why not?
Mm-hmm.
And probably Gambit, even though I'm not really even that big of a fan of him. Yeah, see, Wesley's got the right idea. Wesley says, I would honestly put Gambit. I'd hold off on Wolverine for a bit. Let him explore the countryside.
So it sounded like when you were making this list, you're not too concerned about the amount of people on the team, though, yeah?
I don't care.
No.
Put the whole roster. And
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, yes. Grabs is right. I would also have Nightcrawler. That would be my team.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Phil 2's team. Cyclops, Jean, Colossus, Storm Beast, Iceman, Angel. That's a solid team. You could also do the original team. Cyclops, Jean, Beast, and Angel. Or I'm sorry, Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good too. New recruits: Kitty, Gambit, Rogue, and Nightcrawler. I'm not upset by that.
No, it seems like there's.
I'd say that there's so many characters.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you can go like the standard edition of the X-Men. Have just everyone from X-Men '97, basically.
Yeah,
but then the stuff with Phil too, saying like Colossus, Iceman, Angel, like they're people that were in the OG, or some of them were in the OG. And it's okay to have them too. I think it's funny to think like there almost isn't a wrong answer, but I think for me specifically, like you got to have some heavy hitters in that first MCU movie.
I think so too. So that's why they're going to have Wolverine,
Yeah.
but I would just wait. Or I would use Laura and have her wear the Wolverine suit for that one.
Yeah.
They could still exist in the same universe, but maybe Logan's busy.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolverines. Eric would pick the Claremont Uncanny team. I like that. Phil 2 says you save the new Wolverine for a mid or post credit sequence. I'd even just stick him on Disney Plus doing something in somebody else's show. It's going to be harder after Hugh Jackman for the new guy. I really feel for the new guy.
Well, especially now because he's coming back again.
Not only is he coming back, he's wearing the yellow suit and the cowl. We're getting everything we wanted. And now you think it was a new guy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, dude. I wish you the best. Absolutely.
Yeah, good luck to you, sir.
I would send you a fruit basket. Do you have a team you would pick?
Yeah, I would just go with the people that I know. Again, like basically the X-Men '97 team. That's what I grew up watching. That's what I like. I'd be okay adding like Iceman and stuff from, the Bryan Singer movies eventually. I like Angel too. He was awfully horribly used in Last Stand, but I think that's a cool character,
He's a cool character
to have in there for sure.
Especially when Apocalypse gets a hold of him. He's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other part of Nico's question?
Yeah, the second part of Nico's question is for me. He said, which new casting of The Last of Us Season 2 are you most excited for? And I chose young Mazzino, who is playing Jesse in the second season. Young Mazzino is in a show called Beef on Netflix as well. He looks exactly like Jesse. So this is one of the castings where he looks exactly like the character, I think. But from the little that I saw of him in Beef, he's very, very good. I also like Jesse's story in The Last of Us Part 2. Little hero, little sad, and a lot of awesome. He's a very cool guy. So that's one I'm looking forward to a lot. The one I'm most worried about, since he didn't ask, is is what's her name is Abby. I can't remember her name now. What's her name? She was that girl in the Alien movie that we like. Shit.
What Alien movie? You like an Alien movie?
What's her name? Caitlin Dever.
Oh, her.
Yeah, she's playing Abby.
The girl from Justified.
Yeah, Justified. That would have worked too. She's the one I'm most concerned and worried about. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so the young Mazzino who's playing Jesse is something I'm very excited for to see in season 2 of The Last of Us.
Me too.
Sure, Chris. Okay, what else we got here? Let's go with grabs. This is something that I brought up already. So what would you rather lose, Chris? Comics, TVs, or movies? What would you lose
if
out
you
of
would
the three?
Asked me this a couple years, probably pre-pandemic, I would have said, get rid of TV. I don't need that. Now I'm going with comics. I could do without comics, I think, because I don't read as much lately anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I could do without comics. I have.
Yeah. So you're thinking of it in a new release form. What about just like, say they stopped making all three of these things at once, and you had to still get rid of every comic that you own, every TV show that you ever seen, every movie that you ever seen. what would you do with that?
Comics.
Still, eh?
I think so. I didn't really watch a lot of TV series before, like pre-pandemic, but then of course during had nothing else to do. That's when I discovered like Breaking Bad, and a lot of other shows. Before that, I really only seen sitcoms. Like Friends, of course, was my go-to. Stuff like Everybody Loves Raymond. That's what I made and watched. How I Met Your Mother. But then post, I discovered, wait, man, there's a lot to watch on TV. So I think I would have to keep TV instead of comics, just because the long form storytelling is also very appealing to me. The variety of comics is nice though, but
yeah, TV is the top of my list. Is something that I would never get rid of if I had the choice, obviously, because I believe that the long form storytelling, the storytelling on TV shows, is the best form of storytelling that we have. I also think the best things that I've ever seen are TV shows versus movies. I have a hard time giving up comics, but I think, it's very hard to say that I'd get rid of movies. It's such a hard thing, but I think Grabs is making us choose. So, just for the sake of this conversation, I'll probably change my mind next week, but I would actually get rid of movies. I think TV shows are the best form of storytelling that we have, the thing that I find the most enjoyable. But comics for me are just so hard to get rid of because of a lot of things, the collecting nature of them, the variety of them, and the portability of it as well, I think is an important thing. You can take comics with you where you go. You can read them digitally like you do. You can take a book anywhere you want. You can read it outside, read it at the park, in your bathroom, in your bed, anywhere you want, that kind of thing. And I also like the idea of comics and their storytelling, where they storytell through the words and then storytell through the visualization, the art of it as well. And I like the format of comics, the different formats of comics, hardcovers, trade paperbacks, oversized issues, regular sized issues. So I like that aspect of it, comics. And the more I thought about it, but like getting rid of movies, like, that'd be horrible too. So very, very hard thing to decide of, I think.
Cookie says, I think I choose comics also. TV and movies has a bigger catalog for me personally. Wesley says King of Queens is my comfort thing to watch, so not TV, most likely comics, and I think that's the choice here. Grabs is with you. I think I go with movies as well, Emmet. I haven't even read a comic in a while. Interesting. Yeah, it's just your own preferences, I guess.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a fun question though, because those, of course, are our three main forms of entertainment, I would say. So taking away one, can you survive with just the other two? It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next one in the line here is from Zeddy. Your favorite Tom Cruise movie? What do you got, Chris?
I mean, it's Interview with the Vampire. What's yours?
I'd probably go with Magnolia or Few Good Men. I like a lot of Tom Cruise. I like action Tom Cruise, but I like acting Tom Cruise as well. I think he's very, very, very good actor when he gives it a real chance and has a good script and good movie behind it. And I think those are two of some of his best movies.
And I have not seen either one of them, but I have seen Vanilla Sky. Grab says A Few Good Men. Ian says A Few Good Men is a great choice. Cookie goes with Legend. Legend is fun. I do like it. I guess I need to watch A Few Good Men. Zeddy says hard to argue with A Few Good Men. I mean, you could argue with one bad man. Collateral is one of my favorites too, because it's also one of those times he gets to act. So I'm a big fan of Collateral. And Last Samurai, which we talked about last night. I think Last Samurai is amazing.
Yep.
Phil 2 is on my level. Interview with the Vampire.
Had a boy, Phil 2.
Yeah, there we go. It's a good time.
All right, let's go with another one from Grabs here. I was concerned that no one was asking Jeff Lemire questions, so I asked for a Jeff Lemire question, and he was the one who brought it up. So, okay, so he's got a couple of questions in here. Do you think Jeff Lemire's art would fit any other writer, or does it work because of the stories he tells? Had he only been an artist, would he be as successful? As a huge fan of his art, I'm not sure I even have a good answer for this. So good luck. So Chris, do you think? I'm not sure how much you've seen of Jeff Lemire's art or read too much of anything that he's done. Do you think his style befits another writer, or do you think his style is his style for his own writing?
No, I think you could mix and match writers and artists as much as needed. I think that I can't really say there's anybody whose style like has to be with a certain writer, other than like Frank Miller should only do his own stuff because that's him. Just leave it alone, put it in a corner, let's
Mm-hmm.
forget about it. But any other writer artist combo, I think, can come and go as they please. And I think some writers or some artists bring out the best in each other when
Mm-hmm.
they have that synergy going on. Like you look at Capullo and Snyder. I actually don't like Capullo's art, but I like it when it's with Snyder's writing.
Yeah.
They just kind of bring out the best in each other. So yeah, mix and match. What about you?
Yeah, so the only book that I've read that has Jeff Lemire on art and a different writer is AD After Death, with Scott Snyder wrote that one.
Huh.
Interestingly enough, and it's a different format of comic as well, and I think they can work. I'm not the biggest fan of Jeff Lemire's art. His watercolor style blended with his own way that he draws human beings is very unique, with their eyes and their facial features and the whole way he draws a human is actually very unique to his style. So I don't think that he should or can or could be limited to writing his own stuff that he draws, because he's done it in the past, and I think it works just fine. The question about whether or not he would be as successful if he was artist only and not a writer, he would not be as successful, because his words that he puts with his art, specifically and stuff with like Essex County, Royal City, stuff like that. That's the blend of greatness that Jeff Lemire has. Is he knows how to write and he can draw based on his writings. And like the stuff that he doesn't draw, like the stuff he does with Andreas Ortito or any of the people he worked with on his Moon Knight run, Greg Smallwood.
I like that art.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
I like
I
Smallwood.
think, yeah, I love the way Jeff Lemire writes, and I think that's where I love Jeff Lemire, is the way that he writes more than the way that he draws. So I think that if he just was an artist, he wouldn't be as successful as he is now.
We got a late answer on the Tom Cruise thing.
Oh, that's
Late
fine.
because I was busy, but Maverick or Mission Impossible Fallout is my favorite. Is my Tom Cruise pick. Although War of the World is a close third. There's some good ones too. Everybody loves Maverick. I think we could all agree Maverick is amazing. Mission Impossible is really good too. I'm not really a fan of War of the Worlds myself, but not because of him.
I like War of the Worlds. I like Tim Robbins as the crazy man in the basement.
I forgot he's even in it.
Yeah. All right. Film number 1 has Friends or The Big Bang Theory?
Friends.
Big Bang Theory, because I haven't seen a single episode of Friends all the way through. So fairly simple one there.
Emmet just breaks my heart.
That's right. All right, we're gonna skip over one of Ian's questions and go to his next one.
The fingers, by the way.
Yeah. So Ian's question is: how do fan-driven initiatives such as online campaigns for renewals or spin-offs impact the way entertainment studios approach content creation and storytelling? Chris, what do you think about fan-driven initiatives and studios' response to those?
That's such a tricky question because on one hand, you kind of, the idea is give them what they want, kind of thing, but at the same time, if you were to put a fan in charge, and I say this all the time, if you were to put a fan in charge of something, it doesn't always turn out the best. If they were to hand me the keys to Gotham City, I don't know what you'd get. I think I've said this before. It'd be something like Quentin Tarantino and Tim Burton had some kind of love child, and you end up with Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman. Fighting the Joker to a Queen song in the background. Nobody wants this. So I think that you have to kind of pull the reins back a little bit. Yeah, there's an area where you can take from fans and what they want, what they suggest. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for your brand or your project. You can't just go with what a fan wants. And we see that pretty often. Well, not very often, but often enough lately. There's a cry for this, and oh well, guess what? It's happening. It doesn't seem to have with most casting decisions, but as far as like story decisions or here's a show that you guys might like, it was happening for a bit now. I think it's done. I think, but I'm not really a fan of basically giving in. I think you have to stay on track with what you think will work as a studio because you are the one with the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I generally agree with you, and I'm not sure. Like, obviously, we are never really ones who are going to know what happens inside of a studio based on, what happens on Twitter or what happens based on movie reviews or critic scores or what's the other one that they do, audience scores. Out of the theater audience scores. We're never going to know about why, studios make the decisions that they do. The only thing that I'll say that they do it is if any way that they can make money is the way that's what they will do.
Right.
So if they feel like something that a campaign or anything that the fans want, if that will give them money, then they will do it. But you have to find out, how loud are these fans being versus how many fans there are versus how many of these fans will actually spend money. It's there's a lot of it's way too, above my pay grade. Considering I make $0 for this conversation. But the idea behind fan campaigns, I'm cool with it. If you want to be so proud and loud for a movie that you want to see or a character that you want to see, go for it. Do whatever you want. Will studios listen to you? I have no idea if they will or if they won't. But if it makes them money, then they will do it. But generally I agree with you, and I think about this all the time with sports. I'm pissed at my hockey team for losing, and they should do this and they should do that and the other thing. I am not the general manager of this team. I am not the owner of this studio. I don't make these decisions. If I was, a much smarter person who knew a lot more, then I would be in those positions, but I don't, and I'm not. I'm just a person who goes to the movies and enjoys these things that the studio's deems are worthy enough to put out. So it's a tricky thing that way.
I like Grab's point here too. They also have to think long term, give them what they want, but in incredibly small increments, draw this out. That's a thing too. Like, here's a piece of this, and then we're going to make a sequel. We get another piece, and then maybe in the third one, we get the full picture. That's a thing. That's not bad either. I mean, there's a balance. There's got to be a balance to it. That's all. And
it's interesting when you think about it. Yeah, it's interesting if we think about it like, even like Jar Jar Binks, like he's in Phantom Menace. He's there. Everyone hates him. And then George Lucas is like, whoa, let's pull back on Jar Jar Binks a little bit in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So like, that's an idea of not a campaign, but, fan outrage or fan commentary where George Lucas is like, okay, we need to pull back on the goofiness that is Jar Jar Binks because people found him unenjoyable in the Phantom Menace.
Guilty. Bill 2 says, I think some armchair fans trying to act like executive producers when they've probably never set foot on a movie set or been in a writer's room to begin with. That's true too. I think all fans do that though. We all think we know better. Even though we can say, I know I would make a terrible movie, we all think, well, maybe I won't. It's just a fun thing, I think, but it's something fans do.
Well, yeah, like in general, whenever I'm trying to talk about things or like in this conversation now, I'm just trying to think about it like how I would deal with it and how I would feel and what I find enjoyment in. I have a very hard time trying to put myself in other people's feet, under other people's shoes in their decision making. So it's a very hard question to answer. Absolutely.
Then the exact same thing happened to Hayden Christensen, and 20 years later, everyone thought he was the greatest. Time heals most things. I actually thought Hayden Christensen was great then. So I feel validated now. Just don't ruin. He says, just don't ruin our childhood heroes. I'm talking to you, RJ. Oh, okay. I get that one.
Which RJ?
Ryan Johnson. He's talking about Luke.
Oh, God, horrible.
We don't talk about that here.
That's it for our questions. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for sending those all in for us.
Yeah, that was fun. We had some good stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I would have saw Phantom Menace in the theater again. That would have been sweet.
Yeah, so Phil too says it's an incredible experience. Everyone I've seen who has went to go back to it has really enjoyed the experience and the movie itself.
Mm.
I just don't like that movie, so I didn't want to go to it.
Yeah.
But if they release, I don't know if the other ones are being released or not.
I hope so. Well, what is this? The 25th anniversary, right? So then,
Something like that.
as we go along, I'm sure they will be.
I'm looking forward to Lord of the Rings re-release.
Oh my god, and the extended editions too.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I'll see all of them. I might just check out Two Towers. I love Two Towers. So
Yep.
we'll see.
I love the Phantom Menace, by the way. So you're too
that.
hard on. You're too hard on it.
I
A
probably
lot of
am,
people are
but
too hard on it.
it's for me. I put that in the same category as Last Jedi. They are the two Star Wars films I don't ever want to see again.
Ah, mother of God.
I know. Maybe I'll rewatch it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you won't rewatch
Phantom
it.
Menace, not Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Phil too is the opposite. He has no desire to see Lord of the Rings in theaters, and a lot of people don't. I think. I feel like a lot of people have it at home, or they just don't like Lord of the Rings.
Really?
So I don't. Yeah, I don't think Lord of the Rings will be as big of a deal as Star Wars is right now back in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley says, I saw the marathon, such a great experience. Even the ones I don't enjoy as much, the marathon was only in 16 theaters. How many of the movies was it, Wesley? Was it all of them, or? I like Phantom Menace much more than Clone Wars. Yeah, no, not for me. Phil 2 says Last Eye is the weakest of the sequel trilogy. I agree with that.
It's the weakest of all of the Star Wars movies.
He said, I saw the Phantom Menace and lost my mind seeing on the big screen again. I love stuff like that. Even though I don't like the movie, I love hearing people are enjoying
yeah, like I'd love just to see it like with the the Duel of the Fates on, like watching the pod racing scene. Like, oh man, that would just be awesome.
Grab says I would love to watch Lord of the Rings in theaters. I think they're in June, if I remember correctly. Phil 1 says incredible experience with the Phantom Menace. Oh, nice. Okay, so it's all 9. That's pretty cool.
Holy cow!
That's a cool marathon.
That's a day.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was probably fun, especially seeing them like link, one after the other. That's probably cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Do they play the credits after each one?
I would think they have to.
I wonder if they wouldn't though. Like somehow you could get around that and just as soon as New Hope ends, like Empire Strikes Back starts right up. That'd be interesting.
When they did the MCU marathon before, I think it was before Endgame, they showed each one credits and all post-credit scenes, everything. So,
interesting.
Yeah, the marathon thing is cool. I just don't know if I would do that.
I would not.
I've wanted to do it before, but I just didn't go.
Yeah,
like I wanted to do it for the Dark Knight trilogy. They had a marathon.
That'd be an interesting one to do. Yeah,
I think that'd be a blast.
But
next time. We got a special. Oh yeah, the Acolyte had a special thing too. That's something I did want to see. I think they got like an exclusive clip or something.
There's a new trailer online now, I think.
Yeah,
is that the same one or?
I don't know. I probably won't watch the new trailer though. I'm very excited for the show, and I think I've seen enough. So just give me the show.
Sure.
Wesley says, seeing Revenge of the Sith and the Anakin versus Obi-Wan duel on the big screen is incredible. I remember seeing that at a midnight show, a midnight screening, and that was quite a moment that summer.
Beautiful.
I once did an original trilogy marathon. My butt was in agony from being seated for so long. Some of the trailer was in the clip I saw. Perhaps his Back to the Future marathon would be fun for me in the theater. Now I'm just naming movies I want to watch.
That would be fun.
I think that
any trilogies or sequels would be fun to do a marathon like that.
Yeah, one after another. That's a good time.
All right, Chris, let's get out of here. Where can people find you on the things that you do?
All the things that I do. You guys can follow me on the Twitter at thatchris70. You can also follow the podcast I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso over at DC Unlimited Pod. And as always, I would love it if you guys would follow this show at G of the Geeks. Emmett is better with the rest of the plugs, so he will take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us right there. Thanks to Eric, Ian, Zeddy, Phil number 2, Grabs, Wesley. Thanks for watching and thanks for commenting. Thanks so much. Phil number 1 and Cookie. Thanks so much for checking us out on this fine Sunday evening. Thanks for sticking out with us for the extra half hour as well. Really appreciate it, guys. And thanks for the questions on Twitter as well. Cookie, Nico, Grabs, Zeddy, Phil 1, and Ian. Thanks so much for checking us out. Chris, is this a little teaser? You want to let people know what we're up to next week?
I think everybody knows Interview with the Vampire Season 2 premieres next week, and I am planning to be a menace. I am so excited. So we'll see you guys next week, and I'll try to... Oh, no, I won't be able to watch it till after the show. So I might just run out of the show. We'll see how this works.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we're the show's first episode of Season 2 is on the 12th. Chris, myself, and Cookie will be returning for our Interview with the Geeks podcast, which we will be releasing sometime in the week, during the middle of the week. We'll be doing that weekly, and we might take a few weeks off, or at least 1 week off when I go away for a little while. But yeah, so make sure you check your podcast feeds for a brand new season of Interview with the Geeks. In saying all that, for Chris and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Remember, he's a monster.